All right, everyone. So this is your Unit 3 essay assignment explanation. So this is your final essay, and you guys have read basically everything from Civil War up to modernism, and now we're into postmodernism. And there's a lot of different issues that you guys have read related to postmodernism. Identity, post-war trauma, modern consumer culture, capitalism, outsider identity, all these different things. So you're going to write your usual argumentative essay over this prompt, but there's something a little bit different about this one. So first thing you're going to do is choose one text from an author that you read in this unit. You're going to write an argumentative essay discussing how that work portrays a thematic issue related to postmodernism. So it can be any of the issues that we've really talked about. You can connect the work back to a single theme, or you can choose multiple themes if you want. So it could be things like identity, multiculturalism, like I said, gender issues, social issues, class, race, divide. There's so many things that you could talk about. My suggestion is that you keep the focus pretty narrow. Don't try to do 5 or 6 themes within one essay. I would choose at most 2. So you should really focus your analysis on analyzing the text as usual. Remember to focus the bulk of the analysis on breaking down the text using specific literary devices. So look at imagery, look at symbolism, look at structure, look at all these different things that you know are related to the literary aspects of the texts. And then you will secondarily incorporate, again, the historical context of the author and the situation. So remember, most importantly, to keep the focus on the text. Don't let this become a biography. Make sure you're using lots of good evidence. Pull quotes from the text. Analyze those quotes in detail. And explain to your audience how those quotes are illustrating your argument about multiculturalism or gender identity or racial divide or any of these different things. Now here's where it gets a little bit different. You can do this essay in one of 3 formats. So you could do a usual 3 to 4 page essay with the bibliography, as usual. If you're comfortable with that, do that. You can also do what I do. You can do a 10-minute video lecture with the bibliography. And what you're going to do for that is you will actually create it, upload it to YouTube, and then when you go in to submit, instead of submitting a Word doc, you'll just put the link into the submission box, and then you'll have to include a document of your bibliography as well. Unless you do some fancy, something on your video where you add it at the end as a page on the end of the video. You can also do a 12 to 15 point slide, PowerPoint, or Prezi with the bibliography as well. So whichever format you choose, you're going to need a short section that addresses how the work fits also into the larger landscape of literature that we read. So how does a work by a female author, for example, connect back to previous units? Who wrote in those previous units that sort of paved the way for this author? If you do an author who is talking about outsider identity, what texts from previous units can you connect it back to and show that other authors, as I said, paved the way for this person to be able to write about outsider identity? It could be based on gender, it could be based on theme, it could be based on movements, it could be based on a lot of different sort of verticals, if you will. This section that you write does not need to be extensive. It only needs to be, at most, say on the essay, it only needs to be a paragraph. If you do the video lecture, it only needs to be about a minute of your lecture. If you do a PowerPoint or Prezi, it only needs to be 1 or 2 slides. It does not need to be extensive. But what you're showing me is that you understand the trajectory of literature that we've read from the very first week of the course all the way up to where we are now, and how literature builds on itself, how people who do something different create a pathway for later authors. So I've given you some suggestions here. You can think in terms of larger movements, gender connections, thematic connections, historical ties, or cultural connections. Now, let me say one thing real quick. If you do the video lecture, you're going to want to make sure that you keep your video lecture to kind of lose track of time. I promise you it goes a lot faster than you think. So you want to write out your argument, at least the bullet points, before you do the lecture, so you can keep it focused and on topic. If you do the PowerPoint and Prezi, it's very much like the essay. It's a slightly different structure. You can do bullets, you can do short paragraphs, but I do fully expect you to have equal amount of text or equal amount of context or content as you would an essay. So I don't want to see just 2 or 3 bullets on a page with no explanation. You still have to provide context. You still have to provide analysis. It's just you can include images, you can include graphics, you can include all sorts of things on a PowerPoint that you may not get to have in an essay. But I don't want you to skimp out on content either, because then we have an underdeveloped argument, and then you lose points for really not having a fully developed argument. So that's why that's there. Now, you are required to use at least one scholarly source and one other source of your choosing. So you do have to have one scholarly source from TCC database and one from any other source that's credible. So PBS, history.com, biography.com, whatever. Those must be on your bibliography along with the work that you are analyzing. And remember, if you do this one or the video lecture, you still have to have a bib. Your essay is due Sunday, December 10th at midnight. There is no exceptions on this one. Essay grades, final grades are due that week, and I have 120 essays to grade, so I'm going to be moving through them very, very quickly. And so there's no room for late grades or late assignments, or if you did not submit it in time or you missed the deadline, it will be a 0. So make sure to submit well ahead of this deadline, number 1. And number 2, you're going to want to make sure that whatever you submit is successfully submitted. So after you submit, you can submit as many times as you need up until the deadline. But after you submit, you want to go through and check to see that the essay is showing up or that the video lecture link is working. So you need to submit it and then go in and click it and make sure it's actually taking me to the page. If it's set on private or if it's set on where I can't see it, I have nothing to grade and it will be a 0. There's no time for me to turn around and ask for you to resend it or anything like that. A PowerPoint or Prezi, also same thing. Once you submit it, it should show up physically on the page and you should be able to see it. If you can't see it, I can't see it. So make sure, double check that it is successfully submitted before the deadline. And as I said, there is no excuses on this deadline. So again, make sure everything will be checked through SafeAssign as well. So the PowerPoint and Prezi, for example, it will still check SafeAssign. So do not copy and paste from the internet because you will get a 0. Okay, your essay, your authors right here, you could choose from any of these authors and the works that they did from this unit. Now, if you choose a poet like Sherman Alexie, you can do a couple of his poems if you want to, but I would suggest keeping it as focused and narrow on 1 or 2 texts at most as you can. The choice here is yours, so choose carefully which topic and which literary works you are examining. Again, remember to use good concrete detail, lots of evidence from the text, and good support. So your criteria is a fully developed argumentative thesis statement. Whatever format you choose, essay, video, or PowerPoint, Prezi, you still have to have a thesis statement. Good close analysis of the works and its concepts, good concrete evidence from both the primary and secondary sources, proper length, MLA, and proper number of sources and citations, whether that's bibliography or in-text citations as well. And then a fully developed essay structure, including good introduction, clear ideas, and a conclusion. Even if you do something like a video, I still expect to have an intro to the text, the ideas, a thesis, main body paragraphs with analysis and evidence, and then a conclusion as well. Same thing on the PowerPoint and Prezi. Good, clear organization of all ideas across thematic concepts. So the point of this is so that you guys can be a little bit creative if you feel like being creative. If you want to do something a little bit different outside the essay, please go for it, enjoy it, have fun with it. I look forward to hearing all these and reading all these. If you have questions as you work, let me know. But otherwise, you guys should be able to do something a little bit different on this one if you feel like it.